जब इंडियन नेवी हरकत में आई थी वह 1 से 2 हो गया था। अगर ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में भारतीय नौसेना अपनी फॉर्म में आई होती तो पाकिस्तान के 2 टुकड़े ही न होते, बल्कि मैं समझता हूँ शायद 4 टुकड़े होते।
3 दिन के समय के अंदर 118 से ज्यादा पोस्टों को नुकसान करना या पूर्णतया ध्वस्त करना ये बहुत बड़ी बात होती है।
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. You're watching the News Night and I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. What we are bringing to you tonight is huge because this is quite literally a bombshell. We haven't heard this before yet. But this is India's Raksha Mantri, Rajnath Singh, who today has claimed that during Operation Sindoor, the Indian Navy, ladies and gentlemen, was capable of splitting Pakistan into 4 parts. That is what the Raksha Mantri has said. That had the Indian Navy launched its full prowess, we could have split Pakistan into 4. A chilling reminder also came in of what happened in 1971. For those of you not very familiar, remember that is when India's might actually helped carve out Bangladesh again from Pakistan. So this isn't just a military messaging if you think that that is it. Because this is a geopolitical tremor, it's much more than that. And this is coming at a time when you have a lot of this internal politics also that continues to range on over Operation Sindoor. A lot of these comments that have come in from the Congress, the Trinamool, the list is long. So tonight what we are doing on the show is we are cutting through this entire noise because we want to know, is this real? Could Pakistan really have split into 4? How could India have done that? So we have the top defense minds breaking down Rajnath Singh's revelation. Was this a warning? Is this a possibility? Or is this a political play? And just how vulnerable is Pakistan to another fracture? Because this, trust me, is not just rhetoric. This isn't just noise. It is a statement that the world today cannot ignore. And without wasting time, let me say quickly good evening to our panel of guests that are joining us on the show. Tilak Devashar is the member of the National Security Advisory Board. He joins us and he's written very, very strong, powerful books when it comes to Pakistan, the conundrum on Balochistan and a lot of other things. And he has very strong opinion on whether Pakistan can really be split into 4. So thank you, sir, for your time on the show tonight. We also are honored to be joined by Vice Admiral Anil Kumar Chawla, who's also a defense expert on the show, sir. Thank you also for joining us on the News Night. And it's always a pleasure. Good to see Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, ex-DG Infantry and a defense expert with us, a man of few words, but then those words echo loud and very clear. So gentlemen, without wasting time, but with your permission, on our screens are already, those circumstances that what could happen if Pak actually breaks into 4. But before I replay that, I want to take up our straight questions because these are questions today that matter. We also do know that the Union Home Minister Amit Shah today has said that 118 Pakistani posts have been destroyed. So all that has also happened in the same day. How vulnerable, remember, is Pakistan to an all-in-Navy attack? That could have happened. That can still happen. Is that a possibility? We'll talk about that. This brings us to our second straight question. And that reads, that is the 1971 strategy, is that particular playbook returning in 2025, could that still happen? Because Operation Sindoor, again and again, the Prime Minister, the Raksha Mantri, the Home Minister, the External Affairs Minister, everyone has said it has just hit a pause button. This brings us to our third straight question. Has Pakistan's nuclear bluff also now been exposed? That Pakistan is actually good for nothing. It can only give you empty threats and that's about it. This brings us to our fourth straight question, ladies and gentlemen, and that reads whether what you're seeing in Balochistan, Sindh, the northwest frontier province in Pakistan, aren't these the real Achilles heel of that rogue state? The real vulnerabilities. Can Pakistan really deal with this in case the situation goes from bad to worse? This brings us to our fifth straight question, and that is, why is the opposition still challenging Operation Sindoor? Because the story has multiple narratives. It's what India is doing globally, the diplomatic outreach, these messages going on, but also a good amount of politics happening back home. So let me begin by asking, first up, Tilak Devashar, when you hear what you hear from the Raksha Mantri, tell me something. When he says that we have the capability and it is just a warm-up, if we want, we can split Pakistan into 4. How can that happen?
Thank you. Thank you for having
Sir.
me on the show. I think we have to realize that Pakistan today is probably at its weakest internally. You know, it is faced with a multitude of crises. It is called a polycrisis. First of all, there is the ethnic tensions. You know, Balochistan, you know about the Pashtuns, the Tehreek-e-Taliban, Pakistan. There is an uprising and dissatisfaction in Sindh. And there is a problem in Gilgit-Baltistan and POK. So all these 4 provinces are pulling in different directions. And if you think that Punjab is united, there's a strong Seraiki movement also in South Punjab. Now, the lesson that the Baloch and the Pashtuns especially will learn from Pakistan's pretty decisive defeat in the 4-day of engagement is that the Pakistan army is not invincible as it has been made out to be. So they can certainly take a leaf from the playbook of what India has done to up the ante of what they have been doing in Balochistan and also in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And so can the Sindhis. So this, I think, is the real meaning. And especially if the Indian Navy bottles up Karachi. You see, Karachi is the lifeline of Pakistan. The real jugular of Pakistan is Karachi port. Because if they do not get oil tankers every 2 or 3 days, they will run out of fuel very, very soon. And I think this is where the silent role, which the Defence Minister said about the Indian Navy, has played a very critical role in this operation. There's a saying I remember as a child reading a comic book called Run Deep, Run Silent. And that's what the Indian Navy does. It runs deep and it runs silent without too much of a fuss. But if they had bottled up Karachi port, then everything else unravels in Pakistan, including Punjab.
Okay, I think this is a very interesting insight, Tilak, that you do give to us. And I will request Vice Admiral Anil Kumar Chauhan to push that point a little further. Because, you know, for those of our viewers really wondering whether this is a real possibility, if you look at what happened in 1971, that particular playbook, Pakistan got its lessons. Is this the reason why we have seen Pakistan running for a conversation, for a ceasefire, saying, please talk to us? You know, we never want a war in the first place, because this is what Pakistan can't deal with. There is already a lot of rumbling when it comes to the deep state, the GHQ Rawalpindi. Then you have what's happening in Balochistan, the Sindh province, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa itself, the economy and everything else, sir.
Thank you, Deepti. You know, the Raksha Mantri's message was particularly powerful because it happened to be given on board INS Vikrant. And INS Vikrant was the principal instrument by which the eastern coast of Pakistan, that time East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, was blockaded. And that prevented any possibility of not just the resupply, but more importantly, the withdrawal of troops. So, you know, at that stage, because of the pressure applied by the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force from the land and the air, the Pakistani army was trapped and was desperate either to get reinforcements or to withdraw. Now, the fact that the entire coast of East Pakistan, the major ports were destroyed by the carrier task force led by Vikrant, and their submarine on the east coast was also sunk off Visakhapatnam, demoralized them thoroughly. So, you know, when you realize that there is no way out, that was a big role that was played in psychologically also in their surrendering. So I think what the Raksha Mantri was reminding Pakistan was of INS Vikrant's role in 1971, this time on an indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant, the rebirth of INS Vikrant. So I think it was a very potent signal given. And as has been brought out, by Mr. Devashar, that blockading Karachi and, would cut off almost 98% of Pakistan's lifeline. And thereafter, the sustenance of the war effort by the country would become very difficult. It would require great deal of effort to continue, I think, beyond 7 to 10 days. And I think this plays a huge role in their psyche, both in Operation Vijay, which happened earlier before Operation Parakram, during the Kargil war, and in this particular operation. The naval warfare is seen internationally as an escalatory step. So it is one more step higher in the escalation ladder. And that's why it is kept reserved for a later action, principally because the naval activities happen in the international waters. When you have the land and the air battle fought, it is fought in the air or land space of the two, largely of the two combatants.
Okay.
But the naval battle brings in the international space, brings in a lot of international players. So it is reserved for that. And I think that was a very potent reminder of what can happen in West Pakistan, or now Pakistan, as what happened in 1971 in then East Pakistan.
Okay, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, on our screens, we were also looking at what possibly could happen in case you will have a Pakistan breaking into four. Just for the benefit of our viewers, if I'm just requesting our team to play that, graphic again, where you have the Punjab province, the Sindh, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the Balochistan. Now, the deal is that when it comes to Pakistan, we crossed the LOC, then we crossed the IB, then we go deep into the Punjab province, we hit at their terror targets. But clearly, with the language, with the words that have been used, with the nuances that are coming in right from the Prime Minister to the Raksha Mantri, to almost everyone, sir, what is your reading? Is this an Operation Sindoor still in progress, and could Pakistan breaking into four still happen?
Thank you very much,
Sir.
Definitely. Operation Sindoor is just a pause. It's on. So it hasn't ended as yet. And therefore, Pakistan needs to take and learn a lesson from what the Navy has done. For a strategic deterrent. It had the entire Karachi port surrounded and gripped by the carrier battle group. I've heard and seen and what it means. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without a fight. It was there, and the parties didn't know what was to hit them where and how. And that was enough to almost put parties on their knees to be able to say, come on, we request for a ceasefire. Definitely, there is no denying the fact that the way Pakistan has trouble in Balochistan, the way Pakistan has problem in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the way in Sindh right now, there's a problem because they intend diverting a canal to Cholistan. And Cholistan is a place where the Pak army officers want the entire land to themselves for their own development. Because the Pak Armed Forces, through their Fauji Foundation, have over $25 billion business rolling there. And therefore, there's problem in Sindh. It's only Punjab, and the army of Pakistan, which is of course a terror organization of 5.5 lakhs, is only 96% Punjabis. And there is tremendous amount of problems in Pakistan. And there is no denying the fact of what the Raksha Mantri is saying, that in 1971, the way Karachi port had been taken, Pak got divided into two. Had the Navy opened up this time, it would probably have divided into four. And there was so much of joy and celebration on in Balochistan, hoping that India does that, so that it means the Baluchis could break away from Pakistan. And you have this NQM leader, releasing his book in London, where the Khan of Kailash was present over there after 35 years, spoke up to say, it's time India helped us. Because there is no denying the fact that in Pakistan, the Baluchis are finding it extremely suffocating. They are not able to be, the way the Punjabi domination is making Baluchis absolutely wanting to separate away. And that itself is adequate for Pakistan. And that is why you find now the Field Marshal of Pakistan wanting to say again and again that what are Baluchis, 1,500 of these people you talked about, they can do nothing. They lose over 7 men per day.
Yes.
That's the state of Pakistan army. So it's very much there on the card. And the Raksha Mantri is absolutely right. Has the Navy opened up? It is just that the Navy was a strategic deterrent, that they were all, virtually on their knees. And I would say, in no uncertain terms, that had it not been for that very fat that the Air Force had founded the 11th of the air bases. The LOC was holding absolutely firm. There was nothing that they could do anything along the LOC, and the way the terrorist locations have been destroyed, and the way the air bases have been, and you find how in Azerbaijan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan is saying that they were really literally crying. The way their Prime Minister was saying in no certain terms, the Rawalpindi had been hit, the other bases had been hit, and we were on our back foot. And had it not been for India attacking us in the manner that they did, 4:30 in the evening, they were to do that.
Yes.
So India preempted, and therefore Pakistan crumbled, came on their knees, and sought a ceasefire, and that is how Pakistan got saved. And Navy didn't shoot, not a single shot fired, but Pakistan knew what was to come. Pakistan Navy is very weak compared to the Indian Navy.
Okay,
very,
I'm just
very
taking a
weak
cue, sir,
compared to
from
the
what
Navy.
you've just said, because, you know, I think this is an interesting piece of information that our viewers must also know. And the gentlemen have all hinted towards it, that there is a problem when it comes to Pakistan, not just about money, not just about this internal strife, not about who's calling the shot, but the numbers, because the numbers don't lie. This is about the strength when it comes to the Indian Navy versus the Pakistani, whatever might they want to call this. So on our screens, let's go big to help you understand these numbers. This is just about the naval strength. That is going to be our focus. You're looking at an India versus Pakistan here, the naval vessels. Now look at India has already 150 plus. Pakistani just sitting at a 50 plus, and don't forget, a lot of them are really poor. They do not perform well. We've seen what happened to all this China imported weapons, and they were completely pummeled again by India. Likewise, if you go to the other details, as far as the naval strength is concerned, you will see when it comes to INS Vikramaditya and INS Vikrant, these are obviously, you know, those taxing big machines that know how to do their job. But when it comes to Pakistan, the score is terrible. And like they say, the writing is on the wall time and again for Pakistan to realize that it cannot even enter a war like this. Forget the fact that it can win a war. We'll, you know, bring in more details faster. This is about the submarines, 17 to 11. That is where the count really stands. So just a brief insight to why these numbers made Pakistan very, very uncomfortable. Now, let me quickly go back to our guest, and we'll go to Tilak to help understand that in the road ahead, sir, when you're talking of the Operation Sindoor that has hit a pause button, you're looking at the terror infrastructure of Pakistan that has been demolished, but still world over, you know, there are some powers who are not willing to call out Pakistan, willing to hand out doles in the name of the IMF and a lot of other bailout. Don't they look at these numbers? Don't they realize what Pakistan possibly today endangers the world with?
Yeah, I don't think it's only these numbers. I think what the world really needs to be scared about and worried about is the kind of brazenness with which Pakistan is displaying the terrorists and putting them out on display. 2 days ago, there was a function in Kasur where not only was the deputy leader of the Lashkar-e-Taiba openly present over there, who's on the proscribed list, there was a speaker of the Punjab Assembly who's a member of the ruling Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. Maryam Nawaz is Chief Minister of Punjab, and Shehbaz Sharif is the Prime Minister of Pakistan. They were openly talking about and spewing venom against India. You've seen also visuals, which your channel has also carried, about the funerals of terrorists where army officers, senior army officers are present, and their coffins are wrapped in the Pakistan flag, and the prayers are being led by another US designated terrorist.
You're right.
So I think the world really needs to look at the brazenness of Pakistan, and please, the message should be don't be blind. Just see the kind of danger that Pakistan poses, first of all, to itself, poses to its neighbors, and ultimately will also pose to the West. Because you can't keep these blocked around.
You're right.
So while those figures are important, which you mentioned, I think the biggest threat from Pakistan that is emerging world over is terrorism and the fact that the world is doing nothing about it. I hope that now in the FATF, Pakistan can go back, this time not into the grey list, but into the black list for all the activities that it is doing.
Okay. Okay, I just have the last couple of minutes. So Vice Admiral Anil Kumar and Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni will take perhaps 50-50 each. You know, we'll be fair to both of these gentlemen. Vice Admiral, you go first. Now tell me something. Do you think going ahead, it is a wise decision? Let's split Pakistan into 4.
I think it's a bit presumptuous for me to say that. I think the Raksha Mantri has said what needed to be said. As far as the armed forces are concerned and the Navy is part of that, they are an instrument of the government. So it acts at the directive of the democratic leadership of the country, as it should, unlike Pakistan. And I think if there is a requirement to meet certain aims set by the political leadership, the armed forces will do their utmost to strive to achieve that. So I think as far as splitting is concerned, I'll leave it at that. I would just like to re-emphasize the fact that particularly, as brought out earlier, Karachi being their center of gravity, their jugular, the weakness also is, the major weakness today is in Balochistan. And the fact is that China has built the China-Pakistan economic corridor largely ending up in Balochistan with the aim of extracting the mineral resources there and using Gwadar possibly as a military base in the future. And I've written about that extensively. So I think there is a lot of dissatisfaction in the Baluchi people, not only with the mistreatment that has been meted out to them by Pakistan over the last 7 to 8 decades after independence, but also the exploitation that is happening today. And this is evident from the number of attacks that have been carried out by Baluchi nationals against the Chinese personnel there, as also the Pakistani army, which recently had happened. So I think there is a great deal of danger, and I think the Raksha Mantri was also hinting at Pakistan that please look inwards. You are trying to export terror, you are trying to get something which is unattainable.
Oh, yes.
But in that process, you will lose what you have. So I think if Pakistan is wise, which I very much doubt, they will probably heed this warning.
All right, General Sanjay Kulkarni, I just have the last 30 seconds for you, sir.
I can only say we have a very, very professional and a very strong Navy that the Indians can be proud of. There's nothing that they can't do. And if not for them, it would have been very difficult even for the ceasefire to come to. Pakistan knew it very well that the Karachi port was totally blocked. They could do nothing about it. They couldn't move the army also. And of course, the air dominance made it possible. So hats off to the entire professionalism and the strong Navy that we have.
All right. I like how you say that there is nothing that the Indian Navy cannot do. I think that is the answer. That is the answer, whether Pakistan can be split into 4 or not. Gentlemen, only for want of time, but it's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much. Let's also now quickly bring you Newsnight's parting shot. So India, ladies and gentlemen, has showcased its military might through Operation Sindoor. And Pakistan's vulnerability is stark. It's an open secret. But back home, like I said, you also have these political fault lines that are only deepening. The Prime Minister earlier was in Bihar. He has fired a fresh shot from there, while the opposition leaders cry foul. They're questioning a lot of things. So this internal political fire really shows you that there is no end to this politics, this perhaps the run for votes here. So what does this mean when it comes to India's national narrative? The choice is very clear. It is about strength or discord, and that is what our netas cutting across political quarters need to think deeply. And can Pakistan be split into 4? The answer, like they say, is blowing in the winds. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you now on Monday. Good night.